We are all trained in weapons and hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
But I will also say that we're trained in those things as an area of last resort.
Of course.
Because you can't be an undercover tire salesman in Tbilisi if you're carrying a Sig Sauer concealed in your back pocket. You can't do it. So we're trained how to use local weapons.
Yeah, just a librarian that's just fucking ripped.
Correct, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Like, that guy's the scariest librarian I've ever seen.
But what we are taught to do is that if the shit truly hits the fan and we have to self-evacuate, very similar to what I was explaining in Shadow Cell, if we have to self-evacuate, we know how to steal, we know how to procure, we know how to hit caches so that we can get our hands on the types of tools that we would need to evacuate ourselves from whatever location we're in.
So caches, you mean like those, so there'll be like safe houses that have extra guns, passports, money, like different shit that's like set up, and you kind of know a roadmap. You're like, all right, got to get to this place. This is a point that I need to get that's going to get me to this extraction point. So you got a whole fucking plan.
Exactly. What we call an E&E plan, escape and evasion plan. So we all have those built at all times for all of our various operations. And we are trained on how to use weapons, and we're trained on how to use hand-to-hand combat. But we always want to be able to evacuate clandestinely first.
Yes.
So if we can use the money to have a local pilot fly us across a border where we can use more money to have a local fisherman drive us up the river, we can get the fuck off the X without anybody even knowing anything happened.
Right.
Right? Because it was a cash transaction to Joe Bob the pilot and a cash transaction to Billy Bob the boat driver, and we're across a national border, right?
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, then we have to fall back on the kind of stuff that you see in movies.
Yeah.
Even then, before we, as clandestine operators, before we would actually pull out a weapon, point it at a police officer and shoot it, the national U.S. government would send in a trained team to evacuate us instead.
Right.
What's called an exfiltration, right? So we would have a team come in that would exfil us to a safe haven.
Yeah.
Navy SEALs, Delta operators, something along those lines. Paramilitary CIA, they would come in and actually exfil us or help us to exfiltrate ourselves.
Yeah. Feels like you guys would be really good at Amazing Race.
I would like to believe that.
If you and your wife like were on Amazing Race, like I'd put money on you for sure.
Inside knowledge, my wife has an anxiety disorder. We talk about that in the book as well. It made her very, very good at what she did, but it would make her very bad at Amazing Race.